Good morning, everybody. Well, we're back. This is Earl Stewart live, and my apologies for missing last week's show. We did a rerun. I always feel a bit guilty. I had a little illness going on there, and we had to cancel the show. And we really don't give enough advance notice, and so it's confusing. If I were a listener to this show, I would be annoyed if I wanted to participate, particularly to all you regulars. But we are back live, and we plan on being here every weekend as long as we can. And we're here for a very special purpose to make your life a little simpler, a little less terrifying when you're buying or selling a car. The good news about what we're doing now is that we're seeing change on speed. We're seeing change in the industry, meaning retail and wholesale auto industry, the manufacturers and the dealers. Every week there's another breaking news headline. I'll talk about it later on the show, but Nancy and I, my co-host here on Earl Stewart on Cars, were startled at the automotive news report that Volkswagen is now going directly sell cars to you. Volkswagen is copying Tesla, and they will be selling cars directly, eliminating the dealer, and going. It'll be a while before they get production up and they get worldwide, but they're not even talking to the dealers about it, which has really got the dealers angry. So that's the kind of stuff that's going on, and you can bet Volkswagen, which is they seesaw with Toyota to be the world's largest auto manufacturer. So you're talking about the 800-pound gorilla here. There are very few manufacturers that can stand up to the whole world and do what they want to do. And if there are any that can do that, one of them is Volkswagen, the other one is Toyota. So here we go. Let's see what happens. We can talk about big things like this, or we can talk about probably what you're more interested in than that is what do I do with the car I got right now? I mean, I got a internal combustion engine, an old-fashioned car, from what you're saying, and I have problems with it. What do I do? Well, you call 877-960-9960. That's 877-960-9960. And that rings the phone in our studio here in North Palm Beach, Florida. And Nancy Stewart, who I'm looking at right now, has got her headphones on, her laptop, and that call pops up on her laptop. And we take your call, ASAP, because we've only got 5 lines. We don't want you to wait. Sometimes you have to. I'm not bragging, but this is a pretty popular show. A lot of people listen to this because we tell it like it is. You're not going to find another show, whether it's a streaming show, it's a broadcast show, television, radio, digital, wherever you want to go, that will actually mystery shop a car dealership or whatever industry they're exposing, because that's what we're doing. We're exposing the shenanigans of car dealers all over the world. We will go into a car dealership, and we have a report for you in the last half hour of this show where we visited a car dealership, pretended to buy a car, and went through the exercise to find out if they were being honest. And you regular listeners know, most of the time, the dealers aren't honest. We're in South Florida, and they're really not honest educator. And speaking of education, we love your calls, not just to ask questions. And I'll give that number again: 877-960-9960. 877-960-9960. We hear from people out there that are unexpectedly educated and informed on the automobile business. We have a YouTube channel that we're streaming right now, Earl on Cars, youtube.com/Earl on Cars. So you go to youtube.com, and then you go to Earl on Cars /Earl on Cars, and you can make a post. Now, Rick Kearney, for you new people, is our certified diagnostic master technician He knows it all about automobiles, whether you're talking electric vehicles, hybrids, combustion engines. I've been in the business for over 25 years with me in our dealership for that period of time. So that's really the nuts and bolts of this show, is to help you with that kind of stuff that is just this week and next week. It's fun to talk about the future. The future is here now, and you can see how excited we get about autonomous driving. And I was talking about that in the studio before the show started. We're driving a Cyber Beast with fully autonomous, and it's an exciting experience. We can talk about that if you want to. But we'd rather talk about what you'd like to say. And you can also text us. I know I'm getting you dizzy with contact numbers, but you can text us at 772-497-6530. That's 772-497-6530. So I'm going to turn the microphone over to Nancy Stewart, who is my co-host here, and who is responsible for building our female audience up to 50-50. And we would really like you ladies to listen carefully, and the men too, to Nancy right now, because she has a very special offer for the ladies, and you regular listeners know what it is, but a lot of people don't. Nancy, the mic is all yours.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us this morning. Earl mentioned our popularity as he opened the show, and we can thank all of you. There's quite a few team members and audience that's responsible for making our show so popular, and we want to thank you because you are an important part of the show. So we have a whole lot to get to. We have a very interesting mystery shopping report, and it is from Coconut Creek Genesis. And the last time we were on the air, I believe that our mystery shop came to us from Rick Case Genesis. So we're going to follow up on that. And I have a question for you. Give me a call. Give all of us a call. You know, in the, I believe it's the November-December Consumer Report, there's an interesting article in here, and Rick probably knows all about it. And they talk about top-tier gas and, you know, whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. And according to the study that they did with AAA, Consumer Reports says that the top-tier gas is the best way to go. Top-tier gas, which contains extra detergent additives for cleanliness and for a whole lot of other things. But did you know that not all gas stations carry the top-tier gas? Did you know that, Rick?
Yes.
And that the pumps are labeled as to whether they are top-tier?
The stations usually will tell you if it's top tier. They'll have a label somewhere. But bear in mind, this isn't talking about the grades of gasoline, the octane level. This is actually the quality of all the fuel that station is getting. Apparently, there are some refineries that when they produce the gasoline, they are producing fuel that's at a lower quality level. Mm-hmm. And usually the places that are buying that lower tier fuel, the lower quality fuel, are going to be some of the little out of the way mom and pop places that, you know, they're having a harder time making the profits that the other big conglomerate fuel companies like Shell and Mobil and Chevron are enjoying, because they can live off a smaller profit off each car because they get such a volume.
Exactly.
Versus these smaller stations that need a bigger profit on each vehicle. Yeah. Even so, the lower tier fuels that do make it to those stations, it'll run just fine in your car. It's just not a good idea to run it for a long time. It can increase carbon deposits and eventually cause issues with the engine.
Over a period of time.
Yeah. And as for the octane level, where you've got the 87, 89, and 93, my recommendation there is if your car says that you're fine to run on 87 octane fuel, run it and enjoy that discounted price. Just once again, one of my favorite things is try to stick with the same gas station each time, especially then if they do have a problem like they had the issue with Shell several years ago. They had contaminated fuel made it into their stations, and a lot of the vehicles started breaking down. Their fuel pumps were dying because of it. And Shell as a corporation stood up, took it on the chin, and they paid for those repairs when people came back and said, I've got a receipt that I bought a full tank of your Shell fuel, and an hour later my fuel pump burned out because of that. So
Exactly.
the big
Great
companies will stand behind it.
Yeah, great information, Rick. And you know, while Rick was talking, I came across that list of gas stations, and there's quite a few of them. Rather than go through that list, pick up that consumer report. I'll tell you, it's got some great stuff in it. And if you're looking for a new car, pick up your November, December issue. Our number here is 877-960-9960, and you can also text us at 772-497-6530. Ladies, I have $50 for you. $50 for the first two new lady callers. We appreciate, and that is our way of showing our appreciation. You're a very important part of the show. And don't forget youranonymousfeedback.com. And you want to stay tuned for our Dog of the Week. And it will, touch your heart. It will pull at your heartstrings. It's quite a story, so you want to stay tuned for that also. Again, our number here is 877-960-9960, and you can give us a call. We're ready to take your calls. And Jonathan, are we live on Zoom this morning?
Yes, we are.
We are? Okay. And if you're joining us on via Zoom and you have a question, please use the chat function, and by clicking on the icon at the bottom of the Zoom, of your Zoom screen, so that Jonathan, he's the producer. He can take your call. He can get your information, and Jonathan will chat with you, and he'll put you through to us. So take advantage of that. And if you don't have the Zoom number, you can jot this number down, and it is the meeting ID number, 926-589-0586. Now back to the recovering car dealer.
You know, when I was reading the mystery shopping report this morning, it reminded me of something that is really kind of silly. There's not really a definition of what a new car is. And our mystery shopper was shopping for to buy a new car. And in fact, the shopping report, Stu Stewart, my son, who wrote the report up from Agent Lightning after she gave Stu the notes on the thing, said to the salesperson that she was looking for a 2025 model. And then later in the text of the mystery shopping report, they showed her a 2024 model, and there was no comment as to the fact that she said she was looking for 2025. So, not to be critical of Agent Lightning or to be critical of Stu, who wrote the report.
I didn't even catch it.
It adds to the if we're confused and we're experts and we don't think about it, but there is no legal definition.
Your point is completely valid and completely true, but guess what? It is a 2025. I just went on the assumption because that's what we're seeing, So I just said 2024 because new is attached to that. It's a 2025 already.
Yeah. So it could be a 2023. I mean, we don't know because there's not a good definition of a new car. Here's the thing you have to remember. There might not be a good definition in Webster's for a new car or by your state or by your Attorney General's office, but there's a good realistic definition because a new car is a car really that is built in the year that you bought it. And in 5 years from now, or 6 years from now, or 7 years from now, if you decide to sell the car or trade the car, people aren't going to be thinking about what it was when you bought it. They're going to think, if you bought a car in 2024, they're going to think that, 10 years later you sell it, they're going to think that's a 10-year-old car. Yes, it is a 10-year-old car, but it might have been a 5-year-old car when you bought it because it sat on a lot for 5 years. So I'm exaggerating a little bit. To simplify, to make it easier on you, next year's calendar year car and the previous calendar year, you're even better off because then the confusion works in your direction. You've got a 1 year newer car because you bought it because they said so. And the interesting thing is that manufacturers, it's not uncommon, will skip a year. They'll have a 2021, a 2022. They'll skip 2023, and they'll build 2024 and 2023. So if I haven't confused you, I probably got you confused now. Just remember the simple thing. If you really want a new car, which, if you want a new car, you should get a new car. Buy one that's new in your calendar year or even newer in your calendar year. Don't be buying last year's car and thinking you should get a new car because the baggage you have with that transaction is a full year of depreciation.
Yeah, you're going to get surprised in a few years when you go to trade it in,
Yeah.
and they're treating it as such.
So a lot of people get fooled this time of year, and I don't think the manufacturers do it on purpose, but we're in the industry and we're confused. So I know you're confused, and you're talking thousands of dollars difference between a 1 year old car and a 0 year car or a 2 year old car. I mean, it's just you don't take the hit until you get ready to trade it or sell it, as I said before. So again.
So let me ask you this question. What I read from a couple of dealers is that they're saying that there's such a huge savings in purchasing last year's car instead of the newer cars that are available. Is that would you say that's an accurate statement?
It can be if the dealer will sell you the car with respect to the actual cost of the car to him. There are incentives, and most manufacturers will incentivize older cars to help the dealer clear the cars out that are on the lot. And now we actually have inventories that are being cleared out. For the past 3 years, we didn't. So there will be special incentives to get rid of last year's model so they can sell the new year's model. Otherwise, the dealer won't order the new car until he gets rid of the old car. So it helps the manufacturer, helps the dealer, and it helps the customer. Problem is, sometimes that incentive that they receive from the manufacturer, the dealer wants to put in his pocket. And if I've got a new 2024 on the lot, and I've got a new 2025 on the lot, if I've been incentivized on the 2024 to the tune of, say, $1,000, am I going to pass that along to you when you come in and buy the car if you don't know there's a 2025 and you think you're buying a new car when you buy the 2024? No, I'm going to keep it and try to build my profit. So better safe than sorry. Try to stay with the calendar year car or newer if you want the new car.
Yeah, things are still a bit complicated, and it really pays to do your homework for sure. You can get taken advantage of in so many ways. Give us a call. How was your experience? Have you purchased a vehicle recently? Have you rented a car, leased a car? Have you bought a used car? Would love to hear from you. Would love to hear your stories. 877-960-9960. Now back to the recovering car dealer.
Okay, another breaking news thing that is really got the industry stirred up is the advent of the electric car like no one believed. And the electric car is, it used to be, well, maybe it's going to make it, maybe it's not going to make it. The range factor, the fact that range anxiety, if I can't go at least 200 miles or 250 miles or 300 miles. So what's happened is that the manufacturers and the dealers are all saying, okay, we give up electric vehicles. That's the name of the game. And we have a situation where Tesla is kind of owns that market if you're talking about the United States. And there's a company nobody ever heard of before in China called BYD that is challenging Tesla in terms of being the largest EV manufacturer and seller. In fact, last month BYD had another record month. So it's all about electric vehicles now, and the manufacturers that aren't in the game. I think I said earlier in the show, we have a car dealership. The folks in this room here have a Toyota dealership in North Palm Beach, Florida. We've been there since 1975, and we see both sides of the story. We see your side because we do this show, Earl on Cars, and we're dealers. We got to make a buck too. So we see Toyota made a big mistake, seemingly, by not getting serious about electric vehicles. And all of a sudden, all the other manufacturers are working feverishly building electric vehicles, and Toyota dragged their feet. Well, if you're a giant, you can drag your feet because you can. When you're ready to pick up your feet, you start stepping on people. So that's what happened to Toyota. Now they are going very heavy in the electric vehicle direction. We still don't have electric vehicles at Toyota to sell you, but we have hybrids. And the transition car to the electric vehicle is the hybrid because it's a 50-50. You know, you could drive it as a combustion engine car, and you could drive it as an electric vehicle, and it has phenomenal gas mileage, and it's tried and proven. That's the key. I mean, you buy a new, hand up, that means we have a phone call, and I'll stop yakking.
It means I'm leaving.
You have to go to the bathroom?
You have a question?
No, yes, I do have a question. Thank you, Stu.
I sensed
We're going to go to the phones, and we're going to talk to a regular caller, and she always keeps us laughing and informed as to what's going on. Well, before it was her tires, but I'm not sure what she's calling about this morning, but you can bet your boots it'll be interesting. Good morning, Tricia.
Thank you.
You like that?
Yeah. No tires, but look, I'm glad you're all okay because I did try to call last week, and I didn't know that you were off the air. I just kept calling, and no one was answering. I said, what's going on? Till I finally heard the message, that it wasn't live. So because the week before you told me to call in the following week to give you my update about, all the 4 lights that were on, right? Remember this? 2
Yes.
weeks ago? I had all 4 lights on.
Yes.
And we didn't know what was going on. I've got it tested. Well, this is a real story here. So I go to my, I got 2 guys. I got a West Boca guy. He puts the scanner in. Okay, he says, look, I'm going to clean out the computer totally. He reset the whole car computer, sets it out, the lights, he tested out. Sorry, let me back up here. He tested out, and he says it's the mass airflow sensor.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? All right? Mass airflow sensor. That's going to cost me about $350. The $128 for labor. The part is $207 because supposedly, Rick, this is an expensive part from
Rick's head is twisting off his neck right now.
Yeah, that's a lot of cabbage, Tricia.
Well, let me tell you. I called up the auto parts store across the way. They said this is a $60 part. When I called him back, I said across the street they sell it for $60. How come? What? Oh, well, ours cost is $160 because it's a high-end. It's called a Hitachi part, and we only buy, the high-end parts. Does that make sense, Rick?
Wow. And then they're marking it up on you. They're hitting you with, they're adding on to the price of it. I mean, see, normally when a parts department or an established shop that deals with different part stores, when they buy parts, they get them at a discount. So, and then they will mark it up, usually like 10 or 20%, to give them a little profit to help cover the cost of going and getting the part and, having it available or having it delivered, whatever.
Right.
And the labor time usually will include the diagnostic, the time that they'll spend figuring out, okay, yes, this is what's wrong, and the replacement of it. Now, replacing a mass airflow sensor on most cars is one electrical connector and 2 small screws. And
5 to 10 minutes, I heard. Right?
yeah, it's not difficult at all. The only difficulty there is making sure that your hands are in good shape that day to be able to get those little screws, because they can drop very easily, and most of them are not magnetic. So if they fall, they're gone. But yeah, it's just a matter of being careful. And what this thing actually does is it plugs into the air hose that goes to the engine, and it tells the computer how much air is being drawn into the engine, so the computer can calculate how much fuel to inject so that you got the proper ratio so that it'll burn properly in the engine. And yeah, if it comes down to the old computer term GIGO, garbage in, garbage out, if you get a bad reading and the computer gets the wrong signal and thinks it's got the wrong amount of air going in, it's going to put the wrong amount of fuel, and the car won't run right. So,
okay.
Yeah, that definitely can cause
my car's been running right. But is it true that the Hitachi is a better made part, and that's why he charged me $100 more than usual?
Well, there are some parts companies that obviously produce a better quality part than others, but
yeah.
I would check the name brand of the one you found for $60, and then I would check the reviews on it. And if it's a decent quality, I think you got took a little bit on that one. But
a lot.
Yeah.
But, this is already done. I was stupid. I didn't check before. Usually I check before. I already did this because he's a guy I use and trust. So, but then I went back to look at. I said, hey, the people across the street are $60. Why are you charging me so much? And his answer was, we always buy very high-end parts.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? That was his answer. Okay, so, but anyway, $350, I got it done. Well, guess what? Guess what comes on again 5 days later? The lights again. Okay? The lights come on again. All right. So, of course, I'm screaming. I'm very upset. I call my East Coast Boca guy. He says, come right over. I'll put it in the computer. Let me see if I can find out what's going on. All right?
Mm-hmm.
So he plugs it in. He says he finds out some sort of sensor on the right side, some impact sensor, blah, blah, blah. In the meantime, he shuts the lights off. By doing the diagnostic, it shuts the lights off. Okay. Let me know what happens. Well, wouldn't you know, at the end of the day, the lights come on again. All right? Now, this is the weekend, and both of them are not available. So I'm driving around last weekend, all with the lights on, calling my West Coast guy. Okay, the lights are on again. I paid $350 for you to fix this. The lights are on again. Look, I come over there. He goes, let me reset the computer. He plugs it in. He says he totally resets the whole car computer. The lights go off. But guess what comes on again 2 days later?
Yep.
How many times did that happen, Trish?
In the last 2 weeks, 3 or 4 times. That's why I'm telling you the story. I had a story for you last weekend, but now I have more of a story since another week passed. So Okay, that didn't work. The lights come on again. He goes, look, you got to let me keep the car for a few hours. I have to take things apart and really see what's going on. I can't just plug it in and find out. I got to take it apart. See
Right.
what's going on. I drop it off for a few hours. Guess what he tells me? Now, after a few hours, he
Yeah.
cleaned out the throttle, Rick. The throttle, he says, was very dirty. So he totally cleaned out the throttle.
Yep.
I said to him, well, why didn't the computer tell you that the throttle was dirty? Well, the computer doesn't do that. It's part of elimination. I said, what, didn't you figure this out initially? He said, well, it's part of elimination. First you go by the computer. If that doesn't work, then you go by the process of elimination. And he cleaned out the throttle, okay? He says that should do the trick. Now, I just had it done on Thursday.
Okay.
The lights haven't gone on again. I just wanted it, and of course, he didn't charge me for all this labor because, darn it, he already charged me $350 for
Yep.
something that didn't work. Who knows if that was a problem?
Sounds like
Is
you
it
got
possible?
yourself a good technician there, Tricia. We got some calls backing up here, but congratulations on finding a guy that is going to do the right thing and not charge you when it's a difficult diagnosis. A lot of automotive places would not do that. You got yourself a good guy.
Rick, he did charge me already $350 for maybe
Yeah.
something that wasn't even true.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, you know, your story is encouraging, and it's encouraging for all of our listeners, but most of all for the ladies. And thanks for sharing your story,
Hey,
Tricia.
Tricia, one quick thing. Would you like to tell us who the mechanic is, or what his shop name is? I got a couple folks on the YouTube channel are asking.
Yes, All American Auto off of State Road 7 in Boca.
Okay, yeah.
That's all American.
Yeah, All American Auto. One of my YouTube listeners, Kim Appreciates Life, she actually asked if that was All American Auto
Is
on
that right?
441. So, yep.
Great.
Oh,
You're in good
really?
hands, Trish.
Oh, wow. What made her ask that?
Apparently, she's familiar with them.
Yeah, good reputation gets
Yeah.
around.
So, he did do the right thing by going back in and finding it. And yes, sometimes you can have multiple problems, and one problem will disguise another problem. And that's modern cars. They are so complicated that even the best technicians, it could take us a while to narrow down to the root cause.
Okay, well, I wanted to give you that story because hopefully I'm keeping my fingers crossed now that the lights don't come on again.
I hope so. We're pulling for you.
We definitely are pulling for you. Hey, Trish, thanks for making us part of your morning. We really appreciate your call.
Thank you.
And don't forget to spread the word to the ladies that they can win themselves $50 for the first 2 new lady callers.
And just here's
Yes, I'm
a
trying to get...
here's a heads up
Yeah.
on All American Auto. There are 424 Google ratings, 4.3. That's extremely good. So you folks in the Boca Raton area, that's South Florida, if you need an honest place, they're not perfect, but they're good. They're very good. All American Auto in Boca Raton.
You got a gem down there.
Okay, thanks again, Tricia.
Thanks so much, Trish. Look forward to hearing from you again. Give us a call toll free at 877-960-9960. Text us 772-497-6530. Rick, do you have anything from YouTube?
As a matter of fact, I do have an interesting one here. Let's see, let me get this back to here. Mark H. says, Earl, would you care to comment on the plummeting resale value of electric cars? And Donovan got in pretty quick here. He says, it's all about the tech in the cars getting cheaper and the falling price of batteries, which causes new EVs to be cheaper. Battery prices have fallen 15% in the last 18 months. A new Model Y 2 years ago was $60,000. Now it's $43,000. And the same goes for many other brands. And he says resale value obviously has to go down if new versions of the car are cheaper. And he says Ford this week announced the updated 2025 Mustang Mach-E, and the car will be $3,500 cheaper than the 2024. They're also going to bring battery production to the U.S. next year to make it even cheaper. So that's an interesting thing with Ford.
Electric vehicles as a used vehicle are a good buy now, and I'm speaking generally. I mean, obviously, if you listen to the show, a good buy is something you've got to earn by being an educated consumer. But in general, the electric vehicle prices have plummeted. If you recall, about a year ago, I think that Hertz really got nuts and crazy, and they went out and bought a whole bunch of EVs. They were going to be the rental car company that cornered the EV market, and they got in at the top of the market, and then they practically, I think they did go bankrupt. They sold what they had at a huge loss, and so that started prices on used EVs crashing. So today, I don't have the exact numbers. If you're looking at a particular vehicle, and a used vehicle, comparing the EV model with a combustion engine, the EV model is $2,000 or $3,000 cheaper. So, like any other shopper, you have to be careful, but you can generally buy. I would recommend a used EV over a combustion engine EV, as long as you nail down the price as meeting the low demand for used EVs. Then this can change overnight. So an EV today is a safe vehicle to drive. Not an autonomous, by the way, but a EV. Nancy and I almost crashed in our autonomous Cyber Beast coming in this morning because of a malfunction of the autonomous. So it's a love-hate relationship we have with our autonomous vehicles.
Yeah, for sure. I decided to take a break from driving the Plaid, and Earl got behind the wheel. Is it a wheel? I'm not sure if it's a wheel.
It's a yoke.
It's a whole yoke.
The yoke's on you.
I have a half a yoke. But anyway, Mr. Earl leaves a lot to be desired. You have to really be brave to be.
Yeah, we named our cars. My Cyber Beast is Mr. Earl, and Nancy's Tesla Plaid is Miss Nancy.
Yeah,
I knew about that. I didn't know that you named the Cybertruck Mr. Earl. That's a good one.
Yeah,
That or Boss Man.
Really, I think more appropriate. But at any rate, as far as autonomous is concerned, let me tell you, that Cybertruck needs a little discipline because he is crazy. Heading north in a south lane.
Oh God.
Crossing over 4 lanes. Ooh.
I'm
not so much
It's
worried
the Day
about
of the Dead today. I don't want to celebrate you guys. Be careful in that beast.
I suppose. Okay, Frank is holding on, and then we're going to get to Stu. I'm sure there's a whole lot for him to share with the audience. And Frank is calling us from Jupiter Farms. How you holding up out there, Frank?
Hey, good morning, guys.
Good morning.
This will be a quick one, actually. We came back from Connecticut a couple weeks ago, and the Nissan dealer up there has 3 lots, and there had to be over a quarter mile's worth of cars in about 4 or 5 rows deep. Is Nissan having an issue with being able to sell their cars, or?
I don't know what their current market share is right now. It's one of the lower imports that people know about. They're better than Mitsubishi, but I do know that the way they do the dealers out there, they like to have a single owner owning multiple dealerships in a market. And so is this just one dealership or you said he's got 4 different lots?
No. It was a Nissan only, but they had
the size of the property. Oh, it sounds like he stumbled on a mega Nissan dealer.
There are not very many of those.
Right. Yeah. I mean, usually we see smaller ones or grouped up in like an auto mall or something like that. No. What's the name of the dealership?
I don't know right now. I'll look at text it to you guys.
Nissan is one of the most hostile dealer networks with respect to the manufacturer. There's always a tension between auto manufacturers and their dealers, and with Nissan, it's almost like a war because the dealers hate the manufacturers, and the manufacturers hate the dealers.
Yeah.
And Sue and I talked at length about buying a couple of Nissan dealerships a while back, and even then,
Yeah.
we were talking with one of the top Nissan executives, and he thought very little of the dealers.
Yeah. And we also met executives that had left Nissan to join Toyota,
Yeah.
and they didn't have good things to say about Nissan either. So,
Right.
Yeah. Well, one other quick thing, since you guys are always into dogs, big dog rants and all, I got a perfect dog joke for you this morning. We were on a cruise. We flew over to London, picked up a cruise, came back to New York, but we stopped in Ireland a few places. And of course, the sheep are all running up the hills, and the dogs are chasing and doing their thing. And so I see him going through a gate there, and the farmer looks at the dog and says, "How many sheep?" And the dog says, 40. And the farmer goes, "Well, you know we only have 38. Why did you say that?" Guess what the dog's reply was?
woof.
No. Oh, that's good enough. But you're going to really like this. He says, "I'm a roundup dog."
Oh,
That's a dad joke right there.
oh
There you go.
my!
Hey, I figured we'd make you laugh one time. And then
It did. It's
Get
very
back.
That's
funny.
hysterical. We love hearing from
You
you,
guys-
Frank.
Thanks, Frank.
As always, you two guys. Thanks. Bye-bye.
All right. Talk
Have
to
a
you
great
soon.
weekend. 877-960-9960. Now we're going to talk to Stu.
Hi, Nancy.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing good. Happy Day of the Dead.
Great. You want to have a cup of coffee?
Okay. All right. We have some incognito anonymous feedback responses that came in, and I'm going to get to the first one here. The opinions reflected in the mystery shopping reports do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the people in the studio, but this is the message. Joey Accardi Chrysler Jeep Dodge is a corrupt organization. They sold me a 2020 Chrysler Pacifica that I saw online. I never went to the dealership. They did not disclose the car was in an accident and owned by a rental car company. I filed complaints with every agency. I'm in arbitration with them because it states on the contract that you have to do arbitration first, and they have to they have to pay for it. They have so many lawsuits on them. Their attorney, Kenneth Peretti, they hide behind and try to intimidate consumers when they file arbitration complaint to sue them. They changed my buyer's order. They sent it to the bank with added fees I was not aware of. This is why none of the paperwork was in the car when it was delivered to me. If you would like to contact me for more information, I can be reached at, and we have an email address. So it sounds like a pretty nasty situation where you got lawyers involved, or at least the arbitration. It's a shame that you have to go to arbitration and you can't just file a claim in in the court system. But that's probably on everybody's contract for arbitration.
Yeah, that's a dirty little secret. This is not an infomercial. We have a car dealership. As far as I know, we're the only car dealer that does not have an arbitration clause on our contract, because we feel that one of your rights as an American citizen is the right to a day in court. And if someone does you wrong, you have a right to take that in front of a jury and a judge and get a third opinion. With the car dealers, and everyone that I know of except for our dealership, in the fine print, when you sign the contract, the buyer's order, the vehicle buyer's order, you're agreeing to have your disputes arbitrated by a panel. Now, these panels are business. They're arbitration companies, and they make their money by arbitrating disputes. And guess who they favor when there's a dispute? The people that hire them the most, right? I mean, if you have a particular arbitration company under contract, and every time you have a dispute, you pay them to do the arbitration, they only face the customer that you're arbitrating with one time. They face you many times, and you make their paycheck. So it's clearly a bias clause in the vehicle buyer's order, and say you will not sign that. Cross it out. Have it initialed by a manager at the dealership. So that you can have your day in court. You're not anticipating and you're hoping that won't happen, but arbitration is biased in favor of the dealer.
Yep. And our attorneys, when we ran that by them, strenuously objected.
Yes.
Yeah, Rick.
And folks, please remember, even if you're buying a car that they say it's only a few months old, only has a tiny amount of mileage, take it to your own mechanic, take it to someone you trust, and have it thoroughly inspected, and make sure that if they tell you you can't have it inspected till after you buy it, make sure there's a money-back clause. Like CarMax has this. You cannot take the car to your own mechanic to have it inspected, but you've got a certain amount of time afterwards that you can return that car and get all of your money back.
Take advantage of that. Sometimes they give you your money back. Yeah, this is crazy. You got to look at a Carfax too.
And by the way, all lemon laws are arbitrated. So if you have a new car, I'll shut up because I think
got a phone call.
Yeah, we suddenly have
lot of phone calls.
lot of calls. So we're going to go to Mark, who's been holding out. He's calling us from New York. And for everyone else, I'll get right with you. Good morning, Mark.
Good morning. I got a question for Rick, just about what really constitutes a new car. And you buy a 2-year-old car that's been sitting on the lot, and it's getting what they call lot rot. The tires are now 2 years old.
Yeah.
The battery 2 years old. And what else? Other problems you could have. And then I have a comment about the lady with the parts, the $60 or in the $160 part.
Yeah.
The independent shops, it's a minefield for aftermarket parts out there.
Oh, yes.
And they may have fixed thousands and thousands of cars with the same problems. And they've known from what they've bought what parts are going to work. A quality part is going to work, and they're not going to have a comeback. And a lot of times, an oxygen sensor or a map sensor, you'd like to get an OEM part. It's not available. It's on back order from the dealer. So what can they buy that they can give to their customer? They know it's going to work. Yes, it's more expensive than a white box part, but they don't want to have their customer break down. They don't want to have it to come back. So if you establish that relationship with an independent technician, that's something that you're paying for there too, is they know what's going to work, and you got to get that trust thing going.
Yes. And as a matter of fact, on that note, Toyota, our air conditioning compressors were always made by a company called Nippon Denso. And we would buy them from Toyota, and they'd cost a fortune. We'd sell it to the customer with that high price. And suddenly we found out that there was a local company called Cold Air Distributors that you could buy an air conditioning compressor, not just the compressor, but with the clutch and pulley on it mounted up already, made by Nippon Denso for half the price. And we could pass that savings along to the customer. And we went with them all the time. My point is, check the manufacturer of that part and find out who manufactures that part for the factory for the original dealer, because quite often parts like Nippon Denso, companies like Nippon Denso, others, they will sell parts the exact same quality to the parts stores for much less, and they're cutting out some of the middlemen, and you could save a fortune and you get the exact same part. So just check who the manufacturer is. Now, on the idea of the car that has sat on that dealership lot for 2 years, yes, there are other environmental issues that can happen with it. Some of the common things, rust buildup on the brake rotors. That can be devastating. It can cause massive pulsations, and you might have to replace the brake rotors to get rid of it. Other odd things I've heard of, insect and rodent intrusion into vehicles that are parked outside. Toyota actually for a while had issues with spiders crawling up the drain hose for the air conditioning box. They would make a nest, an egg sac there, and the next thing you know, as you're driving down the road, you've got water flooding in the car. It's the condensation from the AC box that is simply overflowing because the drain hose is pulled up by spiders. And as weird as that sounds, their fix was actually to make a drain hose that had an insecticide built into it so the spiders would stay away from it. I mean, there's so many odd things that can happen. So it's always good to look at the manufacture date of the car and try to get one as young as possible. Did I get your question for you?
Are
Okay.
you still there, Mark?
That was great. I appreciate it, you guys' advice. Have a great day.
Thank you, Mark. Give us a call again, 877-960-9960. I want to ask Karen and Dawn to please call back, especially Karen. Please give me a call back. I was waiting for your call, 877-960-9960. Our text number is 772-497-6530. Don't forget, youranonymousfeedback.com. We're going to go to Doug. Doug's a regular caller. And how are you today? Good morning, Doug.
Yeah, good morning. I have two questions, one for Rick, one for Earl.
Okay.
Rick, I have a 2010 town car, and I'm able to use the E85. I bought it today for $2.35 a gallon.
Mm-hmm.
Am I doing the right thing?
If your car's running properly on the E85, then yes, you're okay. The biggest issue with E85 is folks that have cars that are not designed to use it, and because of the extremely high ethanol content, the fuel would actually degrade the fuel lines and the fuel pumps and cost a fortune. But as long as the car was properly designed to run E85, you're totally safe to run it, and the computer will handle any concentration issues. Like if you fill up with normal gasoline and you run that for a while, you get a 50-50 mix, the computer will handle calculating the readings and make sure your car's going to run properly.
Good. Now, my question for Earl. Earl, if these two were equivalent, if I go to an American dealer and buy a $50,000 electric car, or I could get the Chinese imported for $25,000, what would be better for our country? Because the other $25,000 I could use to educate my children. I could use it to save the money. I could use it in a million different ways.
Well, that's almost a political question. I believe what's best for our country is to follow what has made America different and why we are who we are today, the greatest country in the world. And we have a system which is based on capitalism. And capitalism is something that is both the manufacturer's best tool, and also it's the consumer's best tool. Supply and demand, these things that you hear about, you don't hear about in China, you don't hear them about in India, you don't hear them about in many places of the world. But this show, for example, this show provides information to educate consumers to get the best vehicle at the best price. So I think adhering to what I guess the rules and what made America a different country are capitalism. Capitalism says find the best product at the lowest price and buy it. So in the short run, one can make a really good argument that you're better off to pay too much for a car because it was built in America. But in the long run, you're going to put America at a disadvantage because the manufacturers around the world that build the best product at the best price are the ones that will prevail. And the ones that are being subsidized by their government are the ones that will perish in the long run. So that's my opinion. I understand both sides of that equation, but in the long run, I think you just adhere to the supply and demand, get the best quality product at the lowest price you can find, and forget about where the car was manufactured.
Well, they don't let us buy the Chinese cars.
Well, that's true, and again, this gets back into politics. For a politician, there are a lot of people out there, and I love these people. They mean well, and they think they're doing an American company a favor by paying more money for an American product when they could get a better quality product overseas for less money. And they are, in the short run, as I said, they are doing that because you can make the argument if everybody boycotted this particular American company, then the company couldn't pay their workers as much. They might have to lay people off. The company might not even make it. But that's capitalism. You know, the strong survive and the weak perish, and you end up with strong manufacturers building good products at low prices. Supply and demand does that. But so I'm against
Earl, but what we end up with is $800 a month average payments.
Well, look at Toyota. I bought the Toyota dealership in North Palm Beach, Florida, in 1975. Prior to that, in the 60s, the Toyota was a joke. The car was junky. They were unsafe, and it made no sense to buy a Toyota. Toyota. When they came into the United States, they changed the way they built their cars, and they caused the entire industry, the entire American industry, to change the way they build cars. If you can remember back into the 50s and 60s and 70s, American cars were gas guzzlers. They were too expensive to repair. I know because I had a Pontiac dealership in 1968 and in 1970, and the Pontiac was a piece of junk compared to the Toyota. And when Toyota was allowed in this country to sell cars, the American manufacturers had to change their ways, and their ways were to build a higher quality, a safer car at a lower price. So right now, there are model by model, there are American cars that are better than Toyota, and of course there are Toyota cars that are better than American cars, and you, the consumer, have a choice. You can choose your price and choose your vehicle. It's a global economy. I mean, 40 years ago, Toyotas, and Hondas, and Nissans were made in Japan. Now, Toyotas, Hondas, and Nissans are made in America. Well, those American plants are providing jobs for Americans. So, in the short run, you might be helping a plant in America by buying from that manufacturer, but in the long run, you're hurting that plant because they don't have the competition to keep them sharp and build a high-quality product at a competitive price.
Earl, it was good to talk to you.
Well, Doug, thanks for the question. That's on a lot of people's minds, and it's old guys like me that I've seen both sides of it. I remember driving a Mazda R100 with a Wankel engine, the rotary engine, and it got 12 miles to gallon, and
Really?
Yeah.
I thought it was like some futuristic engine that was.
Yeah, now 12 miles to gallon, but it was really fast, and the engine would blow up after about 8,000 miles, and then Mazda would give me a lot of money to put a new engine in, and I'd get that money from Mazda, and I'd sell the car again, the engine would blow up again, and I would sell the car again. And so, in the short run, I was really happy that I was selling a junky product, and because Mazda saw the handwriting on the wall, they dropped the Wankel engine, they dropped the rotary engine, they started building combustion engines, which were a better product.
Interesting conversation, Doug. We really appreciate your call. We're going to have to
Thank
run.
you.
Do you have another question? Okay. I believe that we're going to go to Palm Beach Gardens. I believe we're going to go to...
John from Palm City.
We're going to
from
talk
Palm
to
City.
John. Okay, we're going to go to John at Palm City. He's a regular caller. Good morning, John. Hang on,
morning.
Tiffany and Dawn. I'll be right with you. How are you?
I'm fine.
That's
I
good.
want to discuss the greatest issue that ever come out, Consumer Reports, November, December, okay? Unbelievable amount of information, all the cars, SUVs, fastbacks, and I got to tell you something. We've discussed this car many times. I got it in front of me. Page 92, okay? There it appears, the Jeep Wrangler 3.6L engine. And if you go to the end of the issue, the last page talks about a naughty list. They issue 8 items. There it is, the Jeep Wrangler 2024, the lowest overall score of any vehicle
Wow.
that Consumer Reports ever tested, a number 25 on the list.
Wow.
Tells you something right there.
Yeah,
We've
I just
talked about
opened
this
that up.
many times, and it's even though people love the Jeeps, this tells you something right there by the authority.
Yeah.
Consumer Reports, which was the Bible of the industry, and I want to point that out to the people that are considering buying a Wrangler. I think the Wrangler came out, if I remember correctly, I think it came out in 1987, but this is how it, 2024 is overrated, underrated, with a test score of 25.
Well, that's a great
Can't get
que-
lower than that.
That's a great question. Trivia question in the bar. Say, okay, who knows who builds the worst car ever manufactured?
Right.
And the answer is the Jeep Wrangler.
Right, but you have to provide proof. You can't just say
Yeah,
it.
yeah, with a 24. I've never heard of it. Typically, when you look at Consumer Reports, it'll be in the low 70s or mid 70s, and if you see something really, really good, it'll be like an 85 or an 88. But a 24, that sounds like it
Folks,
should be
check-
illegal
check
to
out
sell a car
look at
with
a Ford Bronco instead.
There you go.
And you know what?
Yes.
People will still buy them.
Oh, they will, yeah.
They're rabid for those Jeeps.
It's a cult. Okay, we're going to have to we're going to have to shorten our conversation. My X screen is lit up like
Blowing
a
up.
Christmas tree.
All right, buyer beware.
Thank you, John.
There
Great,
you go.
great call.
Thank you. That was John, and he is a regular caller. We're going to go to Tiffany. Tiffany's calling us from West Palm Beach, and guess what? She is a first-time caller. Welcome, Tiffany.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning. You just won yourself $50.
Oh, wow. Great.
Could use $50. Stay on the line and give us your contact information, and I'll
Okay.
send that check out to you. What can we do for you this morning, Tiffany?
My son just purchased this truck, and it takes flex fuel and E85 gas. I was just wondering what the difference is between regular gas and the E85. Is any difference?
Absolutely.
E85 is simply 85% ethanol as opposed to the E15, which is being sold nowadays, which is the 15% ethanol. And you can only run E85 fuel in a car that was designed to run that fuel. If you put it in a car that was not designed for it, you're going to damage the car. And be aware that E85 also has a few drawbacks. Because it's so much ethanol in there, it does reduce what's known as the power per gallon. So you won't get as good a fuel mileage on it. And it does cause a bit more increase in emissions. But yeah, it's a lot cheaper, but you have to have a car that's designed to run it properly.
Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you for answering my question.
You're
Very
welcome,
welcome.
Tiffany. And stay on the line and give me your contact information, okay?
Okay. Thank you.
Have a great weekend. We are going to go to Phil, who's calling us from Jupiter.
Hi, Phil.
Good morning.
Oh, hey, I got a question for you. I've got my name down on a 25 Camry on 2 different Toyota dealers, and they got a fee that says delivery, processing, and handling for $1,135. do all the dealers charge that now because of the resulting of what happened with the district attorney up in Tallahassee?
No, that sounds like a. Where'd you see that fee appear? Was that on a buyer's order?
Yeah, it's on the buyer's order.
Yeah, that's a junk fee.
Yeah, it was on yours too, though.
No. Then, if it's on the part of the MSRP is the manufacturer's delivery charge, that's legit. If it's something added on after the fact, that is.
Oh no! This is the main sheet that's got the model number, the engine number.
Right. Okay. This is the consumer sheet. No, the manufacturer's delivery charge is legitimate, and it is charged on, and it's part of the price of every car. We see the same term being itemized on a buyer's order often when we mystery shop people, where it's charged again, and that's double dipping.
Okay. So that's legitimate then, is what I'm looking at.
Correct. But if you see that appear on something else called delivery fee or delivery services fee.
No, it's not that. It's not that. It's the first sheet you're talking about.
Yeah, no, that's okay, and that's legit. But it does get confusing because to get a long time ago, maybe 20 years ago, the term dealer fee, that dealers actually wrote that phrase on the buyer's or dealer fee, and then that got around, and consumers realized that was a bad thing, so they started calling it other names, and they started calling it delivery fee, which was probably illegal because that's a legal term. That was, I believe, that's right. It's a legal term. You can't.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly. Yeah.
So to call another fee, that's just the way they disguise it to make it look more legitimate.
Yeah, and I can't believe it. I'm actually going to be able to buy a car from you guys now. I got my name down it, and it's going to be here in about a month.
That's exciting. That's exciting. Well, welcome to the family.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. Yeah, I tell you, like we said, it's not an infomercial, but there is not one single penny that we charge to a customer that is not legit. If it's we make a profit, and that's in the price that we show you, and any fee that's added is going to a government agency of some sort.
So those junk fees are gone now because of Moody's action in the state, right?
No,
I don't think so.
They ignored her. We've mystery shop. I don't know how many mystery shops we've done since it went into effect September. Probably 8, and not one of them has complied.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and it's pretty sad because we talk about Ashley Moody a whole lot and how much we need her help. And she's had our help, and that's why she's sitting in the seat that she's sitting in. But let me tell you something, nothing has changed, and it's extremely upsetting.
It sure is.
They make laws, and there are laws, and they're making more laws. Let's enforce them.
Yes.
And she came out and admitted publicly that the law that she was going to begin to enforce has been on the books for 20 years. Well, she's been an attorney general for several years, so she should have known those laws were on the books a long time ago. So she made a big thing about starting to enforce a 20-year-old law, and what happened? She's not going to enforce that either. So it's all a matter of politics and
money.
I mean, you can have all the laws in the world if you don't enforce the law. What's the point in having the law?
So are all Camrys hybrid now?
Yes.
Oh,
I mean,
good.
not all
Okay.
Camrys coming forward. There's lots of non-Camry hybrids out there in the world right now. They didn't all become hybrids, but Toyota's Camrys. They don't call them Camry hybrids. They're just Camrys, and they're hybrids. Same with RAV4.
Yeah, I cannot believe how that car drives. It blew my mind. I mean, the thing runs like a sports car. I mean, it's crazy the amount of pep it's got now.
Yeah.
So, okay. Well, thanks a lot. I just saw that charge on three different dealers, and I said, "Whoops! I better talk to you guys about that before."
Well, call us anytime.
Thank you so
We're here to
much.
help.
Okay.
We appreciate your
thank you.
call. Okay, we're going to go to the patiently holding Roadrunner Steve.
Meet.
You still hanging in there?
Good morning.
Hey, man.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning. My main question is about batteries. Now, we have the cars that start with a key, and then we have the push-button start. Is there a difference in batteries with that?
Nope.
It's just the same thing. It's just contact is made.
So
And,
what about? Well, like I said, I've seen on my friend's battery when I tested a clear little plastic box on top. Does that relate to the key fob?
No, that's usually a set of fusible links. They're fuses, but instead of having an individual fuse for each of the circuits that are mounted in there, it'll have all of the links side by side.
Oh, okay. Because I always thought there'd be a difference between a push button start and a key start.
No, the only real difference is the type of battery is based on the location. A lot of cars now are putting the battery in the trunk or the very back of the car, inside the car. So, of course, you can't have a standard lead-acid battery there because they produce hydrogen gas as the battery is being used. So they have to have a special gel-type sealed battery that doesn't create that gas, because otherwise, for our smoking population that lights up a cigarette in the car and all of a sudden,
Hindenburg. You got the Hindenburg.
You've got a mini
I got
Hindenburg.
a question though. Really, so I know that we use those old-fashioned batteries to start our car, the 12-volt batteries.
Yep.
Why can't they do a smaller lithium battery? It doesn't have to be like the giant EV battery, but just, it looks like battery pack. You use to charge your phone. Smaller, easier to maintain, and
well, again, it's the cost of the lithium, and the fact again that lithium batteries can be extremely dangerous.
Okay.
Overheating batteries. We saw it with cell phones.
Yeah, you can't pack them in your suitcase and all that. So
the
I get
vapes
it.
and all that. Yeah, they can overheat and catch fire. So, lead acid batteries have been tried and proven for almost 100 years now or more.
Yep. It ain't broke, don't fix
Okay.
it.
Yep.
The other thing was, the guy who wants to buy a car from China, would he have to go over there and buy the car?
Well, it depends on the tariffs. It
Yeah.
depends on what's being imported. But
Yeah, because he couldn't get it in. Doesn't matter how he gets it. Once he brings it into a U.S. port of entry, he'll have to pay a tariff.
he could buy a Chinese car in Mexico too, because the manufacturers are building. There's a plant in Mexico that's half in Mexico and half in the United States. Now, I guess that was done on purpose to probably bypass some export-import laws and things like that. But it's a game. It's a global economy, and pretty soon there won't be any tariffs. I say pretty soon in the grand scale of things. In 100 years, I could say there won't be any tariffs. It's a global economy we're dealing with now, and China and India and the United States and Europe. It's all one big ball game.
I know, but the way he phrased the question is like he's going to go to China, buy the car, then pay to have it shipped over here. And the thing I started laughing when he said that. Suppose you got to do maintenance on the car. What are you going to do? Ship the car back to China to have it fixed?
Right. He's also. You're going to get the price of the car is going to be. You're not going to save anything because you're going to ship it, which God knows how much that is, and then you're going to pay the taxes. You'll pay the tariffs.
Right. All right. Everybody have a good and safe weekend.
All right.
Thank you.
Beep, beep.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Great hearing from you.
I got a question for Rick real quick. It's a technical question. In my truck, when I've gone to start it lately, every time I put foot on the brake and push the start button, it says I got to hold the key up to it. Does that mean my key battery is running dead?
First thing to start with is that little $3 battery in your key fob, because if it's getting weak enough, then the signal it's degraded by the time it gets to the computer in the car.
It detects it, but it's not. It recognizes it's pretty
weak.
And,
it's just weak, and it's hearing it staticky, and it's not sure what it's saying.
Okay. Well, I have maintenance coming up, so if I bring it into a Toyota dealership and I tell them about that, they'll take care of it for me.
Yeah, because or if you happen to be at the dealership, you walk right up to the parts department and say, "Hey, can you pop a new battery in this?" And the guy at the parts window take a screwdriver, pop it open, take out that little watch battery, pop a new one in, boom, you're back on the road. 5 minutes.
I'll just tell Travis.
There you go. He'll take care of it. Yeah.
All right.
Make sure though, bring all the keys with you. Replace
what all the keys. We only get one key with these things.
Oh, now that you get the second key.
I have my second one.
Yeah. But bring them both. Get both of them replaced at the same time. Keeps them both good and strong that way.
Yeah.
Okay, I think it's time to go to Anne Marie.
Okay. Well, actually, I had another quick little interesting anecdote. I went camping recently, and when one morning, my camping neighbors came over looking at the tundra, and they're asking questions about it because I have a rack on it, and really nice folks. And he started telling me the story. He goes, you know, these because they have a tundra too. He goes, you know, these trucks have a defect. And I'm like, well, I know they do because they have this big recall thing. And I didn't want to get talking, so I did not identify myself as a Toyota dealer at that moment. And so, but it wasn't the problem. They told me about something, a wear and tear thing that happened just due to the kind of the design of the seat, and they had to come out of pocket to replace the cover on the side of the
plastic
seat.
trim,
right? And he was a real nice guy. He goes, and I was sitting there wondering, do I dare tell Toyota that they got a design defect? And I said, you just did. And he goes, what? And I go, I'm a Toyota dealer, but I didn't know about this. I thought you were going to mention something else a little more catastrophic. And anyway, so I told him what to do, how to go to a dealership and talk about goodwill, and because he said he was out on miles on the warranty. So hopefully it worked out for him, but I thought that was kind of cute.
Yeah, great story.
I can't count the number of those that I personally have replaced, and for the rest of the shop altogether, that number is times 25.
Well, that's good because I did tell him I would tell our technicians, which I'm doing right now, and that we could give a report. It's called a DPR that we could provide back to Toyota.
We sent in dozens of them. They finally came back and said, enough, stop,
so,
we know.
So Carol and Rob, if you're listening, Toyota is aware of it.
Yep.
I always tell people I'm a shepherd when they ask me what I do for a living.
You're a shepherd.
Yeah. If I tell my car dealer, they start complaining about everything.
They don't know even to ask you if you're a shepherd. What do you? You have sheep?
That's a real old joke.
Oh my gosh! All right, let me go to. Anne-Marie had her initial text was just an acknowledgement of our the election coming up, and to think of politicians as car dealerships that are advertising to you, and they try to stir up emotions, and allow yourself to kind of get past the emotions to make an intelligent decision besides any passions, and I think that's wise advice.
Very much so.
Yep. Let's go to the next anonymous feedback. Have you ever thought of doing a hidden camera on a mystery shop? We have thought about it. There's problems with it in our state. You can't secretly do it. And then I think if you announced it,
I think that you can have the video,
right,
but you can't have the audio.
Correct.
And I'm serious about this. I have a pair of the Meta glasses, which you can wear. So I could loan Agent Lightning my Meta glasses, and she could go in and she would be able to video.
Aren't they prescription for you? Aren't they prescription for you? Oh, right, you don't.
No,
you have perfect eyes. I forgot.
deliberately got the clear glass, non-prescription, so she could wear my Meta glasses, and we could do the video of the whole thing. And that's a good suggestion. I'll have to double check the law on that, but you can't do the audio and the video.
Well, here's an after the fact, and we can get a transcript. Just a thought.
How long ago did we video a mystery shop attempted to, and what was it that someone was wearing?
Well, that was
very interesting. Yeah. We had a GoPro.
Yeah.
There it
and
is.
With it had a head strap, so it's for surfing. You put it on, and we had a mystery shopper. I almost remember her name, but she had a son with her. Her son was about 5 years old, and so. We thought the story was.
Don't worry, he's playing with that.
Right, he got that for Christmas. He won't take it off his head.
Yeah.
And so he was there with her while he was shopping. The problem was, he's a very energetic kid, so he's just all over the place, and you didn't see much of anything other than blurry.
We saw a lot of the
showroom.
ceiling.
Yeah, a lot of the ceiling, the table, hands, and then, I'm wondering if just an open recording thing. I don't know. I mean, that would definitely affect behavior, so I don't think.
I think we should try it. I mean, it would be entertainment anyway, and we could play the video for people that could stream us.
Right.
When we did the mystery shopping report, and they'd see the dealership, they'd see who the salespeople are, and all that kind of stuff.
There's another question. Here's a legal question for you. So you can't record without the other person audio without them knowing. Is it you can't record? What if you record something and nobody ever knew and it was never shown? Is there a crime committed?
That's an excellent question.
Like if we used it for our own edification,
I think
to get more information and then typed it up.
I can't go into detail, but that came up in a situation.
I remember that situation.
Yeah,
It occurred in the 1980s.
I think it's kind of like if there's no awareness of what you did, it's not a crime.
Johnny C. Fradley's asking, what about the news investigation teams that do undercover with video and audio? And then they show that video and audio on.
It varies by states, and they can't do that in Florida.
Okay.
There's 2-party states and 1-party states. And like New York is a 1-party state. A lot of stuff is filmed there. You don't have to tell the person that you're recording them.
Oh, okay.
I think that's kind of nuts. Anyway, that's off the topic. Let's get to the next anonymous feedback. Here's another question about mystery shops. It says you should publish the specific phone number to call in during your mystery shopping report for Ashley Moody when there's no Monroney label located on the vehicle or on the window. Yeah, and also anything. If there's something that is that triggers something, it brings something to mind during the mystery shopping report, we'll give the number, and you guys can make a report.
Of course, then one could argue you can call that number, but Ashley Moody either won't answer or she won't do anything about it. So the problem,
that's what
when
we're
you have
saying.
an attorney general that was elected by the Florida Automobile Dealers Association, and you wonder why she doesn't enforce laws that could hurt dealers, it's kind of like, duh. I mean,
right.
She won't get reelected. That's all. It's all politics.
One hand washes the other.
Yeah. And by the way, folks, sorry to interrupt you, that toll-free number for Ashley Moody, I didn't mention that earlier. I'll mention it a few times before we're off the air, but that number is 866-966-7226. That's Attorney General Ashley Moody. Okay.
One last anonymous feedback. I always thought it would be a good idea to do a mystery shop with 2 people. The first shopper would come in, like the educated shopper the show always stresses, shopping multiple dealerships and Costco to see what the absolute lowest price they could get, and then compare that to the second shopper, who's your typical Larry laydown. I think it would show quite a drastic difference and give testimony to the quality of the advice the show gives. And we've done that. It's been a long time since we did that. We did it in 2 phases. The last one was actually with Agent Lightning. I don't know if any of our listeners remember our prior mystery shopper that was Agent Thunder, and the Lightning followed. They did a team mystery shop where he was Larry Laydown and she was, I think it was Brutal Barbara or something. We've made jokes about it. Anyway, so they did that, and strangely enough, and it wasn't a big enough, sample size to really get a scientific result. But I think that Larry Laydown got a better deal or something. But there's other factors because one
like who the salesman is.
Yeah. But before that, when we had Agent X was our mystery shopper before he moved away, and we did series of that where he did Larry Laydowns and Brutal. Was it Brutal Brutus or something like that he called himself? And no, the proof was when he pushed and fought back, he got better deals, and when he just accepted everything, he got laid away.
Brutality.
Yeah, it was dealership brutality. All right, we're caught up on those.
Okay. Hey, folks, do you know the percentage of cars that do not come with a spare tire? 60%.
I thought it'd be more than that.
Instead,
actually.
I mean, what a surprise! When you don't think about it, how many people buy a car and just assume it's a spare tire? I mean, you better.
Well, this is what is put in the vehicle now, and it's a sealant kit. It's called, and that's from Consumer Report. That's pretty interesting. And the lack of a spare may be due to regulatory pressure to make cars lighter, which means better fuel economy. Makes sense.
And as a PSA, folks, if you wind up using that gunk or the tire sealant that you put into your tire,
total last resort.
It's a last resort. Remember, that tire cannot be, even if it's just a screw right in the center of the tread, if you use that tire sealant stuff, that tire cannot be repaired.
You need a new tire.
You cannot do an internal patch because that sealant stuff cannot be cleaned off of the rubber. And you are very likely going to have to replace the tire pressure sensor because the gunk gets in them and kills them.
Hey, Rick,
So you just went from
Go roadside. Call
a
roadside.
patch that's maybe $35 to maybe $150 for a new tire and another couple $100 for a new sensor, plus the labor to install it and reprogram it.
the the sealant that they're putting in these vehicles, is that the same as the Fix-A-Flat
Yes.
that I used to use back
Same.
in the 80s? And
Yeah.
Same basic chemical stuff.
Oh, it is?
And it's the same stuff that kills those sensors. Not to mention the poor technician, when he takes the tire off the rim, then has to sit there and scrub this stuff
Glue.
off of the rim because,
And this is all for better fuel economy.
yeah,
Does that make
it
any
is.
sense?
It is a double-edged sword.
Yeah, I could think of how much is a full size tire is pretty heavy. I
Yeah,
know that,
yeah.
but a spare tire is not that heavy. I want them to find weight somewhere else in the car.
You multiply it by 1,000,000 miles.
I know. I just wish to find something else that weighs that much on the car and take it out.
Well, for the cost of it, I keep one of these in my vehicle. It weighs a couple pounds. It's simply one of those little air compressors
Yeah.
that plugs into the
Yeah, I got one of
power
those.
outlet, and it may take 5 minutes for it to pump a tire back up, but it'll do it.
Mm-hmm.
And the nice part about it is most flat tires is just a small puncture in a place that can safely be repaired. So if you can pump that tire up and it'll hold air
Yeah.
long enough for you to get to a service station,
Yeah.
you just saved yourself a couple $100.
Exactly. You know, I'm sitting here scratching my head. You know, it reminds me of Starbucks. Who came up with the olive oil in the coffee?
I don't know. I thought it was a real Italian thing. It wasn't.
Please.
It seemed like a good idea at the time.
I ordered
I
one.
can't imagine anybody saying, I got an
gotta have
idea.
olive oil
Let's put
in my
olive oil
coffee."
in the coffee.
I ordered one thinking
Okay.
maybe I'm missing something, and it tasted what I thought it was going to taste like. It tasted like your first sip tasted like olive oil. It was gross. It wasn't good.
Okay. Hey, any.
Yeah, I got one from Anne Marie, another one. She's sneaking another one in on us.
Okay, and we're going to go right to the dog of the week.
Okay.
Jonathan's given me a.
His tail's wagging.
Yeah, he's going crazy.
Why don't manufacturers include a tire inflator? She asked. You know what? That I have the one I have weighs less than a spare tire. I have a DeWalt. It's $39, and you can plug it into whatever, and it weighs way less than a spare
The
tire.
answer is cost. I mean,
You're right.
Yeah.
It's another little electric thing. I was thinking, well, here's another cost thing. I know a lot of them are providing roadside assistance, but they need to extend that to like maybe a much longer period because that's just the way to go for most people because most people aren't going to go on.
nobody's going to buy a car or not buy a car because it doesn't have a tire inflator.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Okay,
again,
folks.
you can buy them very inexpensive, and they almost take up almost no room.
Yeah.
Okay. I think the last time I picked up that little donut, it was quite light.
Yeah.
It wasn't. So I'm not sure with the, fuel economy, heavy, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, we
And
don't have time.
By the way, folks, when you take your car in for service, ask them to check the air in your spare. You'd be amazed how many people are driving around with the spare tire that do have it, and there's no air because it all leaked out over time.
Exactly. We are going to talk about Buddy, and Buddy is our dog of the week. And I'll tell you what a story he has. He's a retriever, a Labrador, about 2 years old, and he came to Big Dog Ranch from the Bahamas. And Buddy, he has a scar on his back. You'll notice it when you look at the video that we're going to run. And that's a permanent mark on his body, and it definitely hasn't affected his spirit, that's for sure. And what a terrible thing that happened to him. But I'll tell the young lady from, we'll have the young lady from Big Dog Ranch explain it all to you. Jonathan, do you want to run the video?
Hi, I'm Jen from Big Dog Ranch Rescue, and I'm here with Buddy today. Buddy's been with us for a couple of weeks, and he's had a pretty sad start in his life. He was found and rescued from the Bahamas where he was located tied to a fence and lit on fire. He was soaked in gasoline, and some horrible person lit this sweet guy on fire. He's a beautiful chocolate lab. He's really funny, loves being outside. He's very playful. He's got these burns on his body, which now he'll have forever. But thanks to the medical treatment here at Big Dog Ranch and our team that did lots of extensive work with him, he's now no longer in pain, which is amazing. And he's made a full recovery. He's got some weight to gain. But dogs like these that have such a sad start really just need a good home to be in. They need to be shown love. But he is very sweet. He's a very pretty chocolate lab. He's got a little burn on his neck too. But as you can see, he is very happy to play and be touched and loved and scratched, and he likes to jump and run just like any lab does. He's a good boy, and he needs a home.
Look how calm he is.
Yeah.
Oh, he's getting all the rubs now, all the loving.
How precious.
Ups.
What a story.
It still breaks my heart, though. He's so resilient, and he's like that. You can do that and not hate people. You know, dogs are awesome.
They just all love.
Yeah. What happened?
It's
I mean,
amazing.
he could end up hating people, but then he was taken in, and and the people that found him and then got him to Big Dog Ranch Rescue, and then he had a whole different experience. He just
And the only
petting,
thing that
loving,
he
food.
excuse me, Stu, but the only thing that he doesn't like is kitties, little kittens and cats, and but he loves people. He loves food, and he has a whole lot of spirit, and that scar on his back. It isn't setting him back at all.
There are marauding gangs of cats in the Bahamas, and they're not nice to dogs.
Aren't they? It's
if you're a puppy and you can run into a bunch of cats out there.
It's amazing.
Wow.
So Big
kinda
Dog
made that up,
Ranch
but-
has Buddy out there. You can go out and you can take a look at him. And, we pay the adoption fee. It's $200. It saves you, a whole lot. It's pretty expensive to adopt a dog. And we make it affordable, and so does Big Dog Ranch. And don't forget Earl's book, Confessions of a Recovering Car Dealer. All proceeds go to Big Dog Ranch when you go to Amazon and purchase that book, which is timeless. It doesn't matter, you probably ask yourself, when was the book written? The book has so much information. It's one of those things that you just put on the shelf and you can refer to it a lot. There's a whole lot of information in it. So take a look at Buddy and go to the website, Big Dog Ranch Rescue, and take a look at Buddy and all the other dogs that are out there for adoption. And my favorite place to go is Puppyland. So if you want to, now that the weather's getting, a whole lot more comfortable, you can go out to Big Dog Ranch and kind of make an afternoon of it. It's a whole lot of fun.
Yep.
It is fun.
Okay, I think Jonathan wants us to get to the mystery shopping
Well,
report.
before we get the mystery shopping report, Jonathan, put that picture up that you didn't want to put up.
Oh, boy.
And the the article in Automotive News, this week's Automotive News, the editorial is head of the editorial. Industry may need to think about Musk-Trump relations, and this is not meant to be any kind of a political statement, but it's pretty important. I've always thought that Elon Musk, he is a genius. I've read his biography. He clearly is a very smart guy, and this whole thing that we don't talk about on the show because it's political. The country's divided now. You know that. Half the country is for Trump, and half the country is for Harris. And people that are going to vote for Harris are hated by people that are going to vote for Trump, and people that are vice versa. Meanwhile, you have a man by the name of Elon Musk that has decided to support one candidate. And the picture that you see on your screen is in the Automotive News. It's even got the car dealers upset about it. Elon Musk, because he is, as I say, he's the richest man in the world. And he didn't get that way by being stupid. And what he's going to do now is support a presidential candidate. And he's actually paying $1 million in New York to people that
Pennsylvania.
signed a petition.
Pennsylvania and Michigan.
Pennsylvania and Michigan, yeah. So that's what you can do when you literally have money to burn, and he has money to burn. But it's I put the picture up also because, first of all, I think it's funny. It's to see
his belly's kind of funny.
To see a genius, the smartest man I've ever heard of, make an absolute fool of himself on the stage. If you look at this, but there are people out there that are eating this up. But it's really got the car dealers concerned because they're suddenly realizing that what if Trump gets elected, and what if Elon Musk got him elected, which it looks like he's got a chance to do that anyway. What sort of a situation would that put the other car dealers and the other car manufacturers that aren't selling Teslas? So this is really going to have a friend who was the president of the United States.
In high places.
Right.
Yes, I'm the highest place.
The reason Jonathan hesitated to do this is because this is not a political show. But what we do try to do on the show is bring you all the information in the world. We consider ourselves journalists, and a journalist should bring you the facts that can help you make decisions and buy products, make decisions, and live your life better. The journalists should not
take sides.
Broadcast to take sides, obviously, but they also shouldn't withhold information that you could use. So if it hurts our ratings because I tell you the truth about what I think is going on here with the Musk support of Trump, then so be it. If you don't want to watch the show anymore because I showed that picture, then don't watch the show anymore. But we're journalists, and we're honest, and we tell you the good, the bad, the ugly, even when sometimes the good, the bad, the ugly can hurt the ratings of the show. So that was important enough for the Automotive News to put in their main editorial for this week, and it was important enough
Absolutely.
for us to put in the show. Yeah. So you are the people we're trying to protect.
Yeah,
so we protected you.
It definitely isn't anything, political. The Automotive News, they pointed out that these two, shall we say, are going to make good music together. Okay, we have the mystery shop to get to, and we went to Coconut Creek, Genesis again. And if you remember, we were at Rick Case's dealership in, I think that was in October, or yeah, something like that. So anyway, we have the Coconut Creek Genesis mystery shopping report, and I do have to say that Agent Lightning, she does such a great job. We don't mention her a whole lot, and she does need the recognition. It's amazing how time has marched on. It seems like yesterday she came to our front door, and she was a shopper for Publix, and her and I, we just clicked. Her maturity, because she is much, much younger than I am, was amazing. And you could just see that she would make a great mystery shopper, and she has. Mm-hmm. So with all of that said, it's going to be an interesting read. Please join us in grading the mystery shopping report. You can do so at 772-497-6530. Now back to the recovering car dealer.
Okay, I'm speaking in the first person, just like I'm Agent Lightning. I arrived later in the day and was greeted by two guys who asked, "Are you already speaking with someone?" I replied, "No, but I'd like to see a salesperson about a new 2025 Genesis G70 2.5T sedan." They seemed surprised that I had a specific model in mind and asked, "Have you been shopping around?" Not wanting to lie, I said, "Yes, as a matter of fact, I have. Hopefully you can make me a customer today." Excuse me. They laughed and said, "Okay, you got a deal. Let's make it happen." They asked, "Which other dealerships have you visited?" I mean, it's you give them credit for being somewhat aggressive in trying to get information that's going to help them sell you a car. I replied, I'd rather not answer that just yet, and they said they understood. They promised to get a salesperson and just needed, they had to find Charlie. A few minutes later, Charlie came over, introduced himself, offered me a beverage and a snack, and asked, which car are you interested in today? I showed him the model online, a new 2024 Genesis G770 2.5T. And earlier in the show, if you were tuned in, I talked about confusion on year models, what's a new car and what's not a new car. And we talked about a 2025 Genesis is a new car, and a 2024 Genesis is a new car, but they're both hugely different in value. So be careful that you know the calendar year of the car you're buying when you're buying it. So we got to look at this 2024 Genesis, and the MSRP is $48,630, which is, to me, that's a relatively low number. You know, Genesis is a luxury car, and it's a Hyundai. And for a while there, the Hyundai dealers sold Genesis out of their Hyundai dealerships. Now, if you want to be a Genesis dealer, you have to build a whole new showroom, kind of like, separate it to give it that image of luxury. Salesman went to get the keys. I waited, and then saw him walking outside, so I went out to meet him, and we walked to the car together. The federally mandated Monroney label was where it was supposed to be. Now, this is unusual in South Florida, to say the least. We see this out of 10 South Florida shops, we'll find the Monroney label on the window sticker, window where it's supposed to be, maybe one time. The MSRP matched what I saw on their website, $48,630. They didn't try to Mickey Mouse the Monroney label with an addendum. As you know, I said I've already test-driven the same model elsewhere, so I'm more interested in seeing a price right now and wouldn't want to waste any time. He said he understood. We went to the car. I sat in the driver's seat and started it up. Then I noted it seems almost identical to the one I saw elsewhere with just a few different accessories. So we're good. Charlie mentioned, I want to be upfront with you. Once we run the numbers, and if everything looks good, we'd still like you to drive it before heading back to finance, just to be sure. And this is something that that made me feel good about Charlie. Too many salespeople out there don't think about that. And you can take two new vehicles, same year, make, model, and identical in all respects. They all drive a little differently. And Rick's nodding his head because you think that two new cars coming off the assembly line that have the exact same equipment would drive identically. They don't. There's a lot of stuff in a car and a lot of systems and a lot of complication, and there's always some little things a little bit different in every new car. So be sure you always drive the new or used car before you buy it. Don't drive one like it, and don't say that you've already driven it at another dealer. You didn't drive it at the other dealer. The one you're buying is at the dealership now, so drive the car. Of course, I agreed that I definitely would do that. We headed back inside, and he again offered me a drink and a snack. He then politely asked for my license and phone number and had me take a seat, promising he'd be right back. I waited about 9 minutes before he returned and said, "You're in our system now. My manager will run some numbers. Are you looking to lease or finance?" I replied, cash. This is something I made a note on Mystery Shopping Report. This is something they don't want to hear because you regular listeners know this is where the big money is made, financing cars. Selling the car, you make some good money, but you make more money by financing. They want you to finance. So when you say cash, it takes away some of their profit. I said cash, but it never hurts to look at some finance terms. So left lingering hope that they could get the financing. Thank you so much, Charlie. I said, that sounds perfect. When I came in and spoke with the two guys up front, I'd asked if they were the sales managers. They confirmed they were and were already aware I shopped a competitor. I was hoping they'd give me their best price off the bat, and we'll see. After about 5 minutes, the sales manager came over and asked, do you live near the devastation in Jupiter? I replied, yes. The farm that sustained all the damage where the tornado touched down is less than a mile from my house. He then asked, do you have any vehicles totaled or damaged in the incident? I said, thankfully, no. He explained they were offering incentives to those affected and was just checking. Are you planning to lease, buy, or maybe write a check today, he asked. I said, likely cash. He asked if I wanted to see different options, to which Charlie quickly responded, like Charlie's the salesman, $0, $5,000, and $10,000 down, the different payments with the different down payments. So the manager said, perfect, let me get the numbers for you. About 7 minutes later, Charlie presented me with the numbers. The top line labeled market value selling price was MSRP, and as I said before, that was $48,630. They discounted that by $4,000 before adding a $949.50 pre-delivery, and that's a junk fee, and they added the sales tax. So that's almost $1,000 in junk fees. I was $48,798 out the door. When he finished, the sales manager, who I learned was called Eddie, came over and asked, how do we do with the numbers? He then added, I already know you have a specific price in mind, and my goal is to beat it and earn your business right now. I replied, well, that's quite impressive. You did beat your competitor's offer. That had to make him feel good. Eddie then asked, would you mind sharing me the previous quote and dealership? It was a little nervy of him, but smart, trying to get information on the competition that he could use in the next sale, and also in determining the pricing of their products. So Eddie is using the customer as a source of competitive information, which is a great way to go. I replied, you beat Rick Case Genesis price by almost $2,000. Now, isn't that interesting?
Very.
Yeah.
Two Genesis dealers in the same market, and $2,000 difference in the price that the customer pays. In this case here, it was the same customer. So that tells you about the Russian roulette that you play when you buy a car. And I don't care if you feel like you got a good price, if you feel like you got a bad price, chances are there's another price you could have got. Worse or better. The more you shop, the more you compare, the lower the price you're going to get.
Absolutely.
Very simple. Eddie was polite, appreciated my willingness to share. He said, I hope our dealership met your expectations today, and I'm thankful for the opportunity to provide a quote. Let us know if you have any other questions or want to move forward with a purchase. He assured me that if I decided to proceed, they could have me out within 2 hours. That's a long time, you know. I mean, probably wouldn't be 2 hours anyway. Probably be 3 hours, but it's just the time you spend trying to get a decent price on a vehicle is obscene. I'll probably have you out within 2 hours. We're quite busy today, but once the process starts, we'll work quickly to get everything completed. I thank both Eddie and Charlie, saying, I'll talk to my husband and let you know my decision. So there you have it. That's the luxury car in Coconut Creek, the Genesis, and it's something we want your score on, A, B, C, D, or F. Very few A's, very few F's. And South Florida, as I always say, is probably about the most difficult and the most deceptive, unfair, nasty way to buy a car. So when if you gave everybody an F, we wouldn't have a approved dealers list that we could have. So you kind of look at the curve. Kind of look at C as being the average Florida dealer, and then try to give them a grade relative to a C, either a B or a D or an F. F would be highly unusual.
What kind of a response do you think you would have had yesterday if we would have walked into Best Buy and, I don't know, say walked out 2.5, 3 hours later?
Yeah.
We'd have to send the cops out looking for you. this is Coconut Creek, and
There you go.
There's not. I mean, that's the belly of the beast.
That's like Fort Lauderdale. I mean,
Yeah.
for people that don't know South
You're
Florida.
right. Yeah, it sounds like a little tiny, cute little town, but if you picture South Florida, there is no space between the towns. It's just you're driving through. It's just a dense, highly populated area, and so you get into Coconut Creek, and you're a little bit west of the Lauderdale area. But there's a lot of huge dealerships out there. As a matter of fact, the second biggest or third biggest in the world, Al Hendrickson Toyota, biggest Toyota dealership that is right there.
So and the biggest Lexus dealership in the world.
Yeah, and it's just a big fat market, and this is where the the worst ideas for the car dealers are born. And so for them to do what they did, I'm going to give them an A.
Wow.
I mean, they have a dealer fee, but they didn't have an addendum. There wasn't any BS. There was no disconnect between what they saw online and what happened in the showroom. I think the year thing, that was my fault. I said 2024, so I don't think that was an issue when she was there. I mean, Coconut Creek Genesis, I'm giving them an A.
Wow. You don't see too many of those given out. Stu is like I am. He doesn't award high grades or real low grades.
Yeah.
But in this case here.
There's some listeners that gave some grades here. It just popped in. Jonathan in Palm Coast. Monroney label properly placed. Check. Attentive salesperson. Check. Are there junk fees? Check. Overall dealership experiences garners a B. The junk fees cost this dealership an A. Okay, that's fair. From Bob, we have a B for Coconut Creek Genesis. And Amory wanted to give him an A, but dropped to a B for the fee. And Frank wants to let us know he enjoys every shopping report every week, and he gives Genesis of Coconut Creek a B.
Very good.
Okay, I've got Joseph Kelleher, a B. Without the junk fee, would have been an A. Tom Steckel, grade B. No addendums. They should have included the $9.49 dealer fee in their advertised price. Tim Gilliland, B+. Brian Sadako, B. Mark Smith, I give him a B. Remove that junk fee. Mark H, B. I like the test drive recommendation. Cram 1624, D. Get rid of that dealer fee and you have a good deal. Again, let Ashley Moody know. T-Cash, a D. I still call them half off price Hyundais. Just wait a year. Johnny Z. Fradley, C. Not too bad on the fees. Kim appreciates life, C for Coconut Creek. And myself, I liked Charlie and I liked Eddie. I thought they were polite. I thought they did a very nice job.
Very professional.
They weren't pushy. They just did it right. And I'm agreeing with Stu. I'm going to say that I know there's a junk fee there, but it was put straight out. Plus, they gave a nice discount, which you don't see a lot of right now.
Yeah, the price was good, yeah.
And her out-the-door price, including sales tax, was below the MSRP.
Yeah.
So, in my opinion, I'm saying A.
Good, yeah.
And
Right on.
it just, I see...
A brothers.
I see a dealership that is working to earn a customer for life.
Yeah.
I agree with you, Rick. And for the junk fee and for the MSRP, I mean, this is rough territory. And, my hat's off to them. I'm going to give them a B.
I feel very close to you.
I was being swayed by Rick and by Stu, and I was going to give them actually like a C+ or a B. I almost want to give them an A after listening to Rick and Stu. I think when I'm going to do a B+. I just can't bring myself to say A.
Yeah.
But I am impressed with the dealership. I like the sales manager. I like the salesman, and the fact that they would actually give them a good price.
Yeah.
Somehow I can't say A when they're are openly breaking the law. You know, we know that family. We know the Pages. That's
oh, is it the Pages?
It's the Page family.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, Stu and I, when they were kids, we went down the Colorado River with them.
Yeah, but we also did some. They came down and visited us here in Florida. We hung out. Yeah,
Bill Page.
Cool.
Yeah.
You recall that,
Totally.
Stu?
Yeah, I wasn't that young
The
then.
Colorado River.
Oh yeah, that's why.
What a time that
That's
was.
where I came of age on.
Yes, you
on
definitely
the Colorado
did.
River.
I believe that your dad maybe beat your brother because
might
he
have.
took his beach towel.
He might have. He might have done. Earl could have done anything back then.
Okay, folks, we have all of the grades in. We had a great show, and we're glad that you could join us this morning. And we'll be right back here next Saturday morning, and the same time. So stay tuned for Earl on Cars. Have a great weekend, everyone, and thank you again for joining us here at Earl on Cars.